I'll open the meeting at 7:01. Roll call, please.
Paul Gamka,
Here.
George Cullis,
Yes.
Glenn Noble,
Here.
Karen Winchester here, Brad Stillwell.
Yes.
Yes. And Chief Wentz is on vacation. Filling in for him is.
Oh, Matt Weil, Assistant Chief.
Do
Didn't
we
know that
need
was my cue.
do we need to excuse Chief?
He's not a voting member of the board, but I think it's clear what we just did.
Okay.
We're gonna go to Pledge of Allegiance. You guys move the flag. Whoa. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, before we enter into number 3, which is agenda approval, I would like to strike under new business D on the agenda, as we're not prepared to deal with that tonight. Chair would look for approval of it.
What item is it?
D. Oh, D.
D.
Oh, D.
Chair would look for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support by Winchester, or motion by Winchester. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Stillwell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial. They do not require discussion by the NOCFA board, and they will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired on an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will automatically be moved to the last item under new business.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Motion by Winchester, support by Gamka. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, no, roll call, I'm sorry. We're spending money, gotta do a roll call.
All right, Karen Winchester, yes. Paul Gamka.
Yes.
Glenn Noble.
Yes.
Brad Stillwell.
Yes.
George Cullis.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Now, number 5, public comment on agenda items only. Members of the public may address the board once recognized by the chair. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Prior to addressing the board, members of the public will state their name and address for the record. A second public comment is available prior to the adjournment of the meeting for all other comments. Thank you for your cooperation. I can't see you there, Randy. Are you good? You're hiding behind the podium.
I'm good with this one.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to presentations. We have none. We will pick up with number 7, unfinished business. First part of that is articles of incorporation revisions, creating board policies. In the board policies, we currently have no conflict resolutions. And I know that as we look at these board policies, we are divided in our opinions on what should and shouldn't be in the policies. My thought was that perhaps we need to have the attorney involved to help us get through that. Any other thoughts?
No. There's a divided, but I haven't seen the drafts of the difference of opinion.
Are they not?
Oh, we talked about them months ago.
Yeah, I know.
We had them redlined, but the changes that we wanted, you weren't in favor of. So I think what we're looking to do is have at least conflict resolution in our policies for when we do have a conflict.
That's fine, yes. I thought that was summary, so the
Yeah,
attorney was gonna draft something.
that's what I thought too. So I think that's where we left it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so everybody's comfortable then with tabling this until the next meeting?
Yes.
And
Okay,
then we just need to follow through with,
Motion to table the, excuse me here, the articles of incorporation, revisions, creating board policies until a later meeting.
okay, motion to table by Paul Gamke. Is there support?
support.
Support by Winchester. Any further discussion?
Right, but yeah, we're gonna table it, but we're gonna table it for what? And we're gonna await then
For the
copy
attorney.
resolution draft by the attorney.
Yes. Okay,
Like that's the object of the table.
okay.
So the attorney is going to tell us what she thinks should be done, and then we'll vote again on this?
Yes. We'll get them, yeah.
Okay.
And based on, that'll be, we'll get a letter of,
Recommendation on it?
thank you. I kept wanting to say resolution, that's not the word I want.
And, George, are you gonna talk to her about that then?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is the status of engine one insurance claim. I think if you looked at the paper that's in our packet, the discussion was the fact that, first of all, this has been turned into our insurance company. And then it was, the claim has been paid. They then went to the village's insurance company, and as it says in the first paragraph, it was discussed with the carrier, and the carrier for the village is standing firm on their denial of our subrogation claim, stating that they do not agree with their interpretation of the mutual aid agreement. In this letter, it says, our next step would be to move forward with us filing suit against the village in order to recover on the loss. We wanted to give the opportunity to discuss this with the board to see if any further negotiations with the village of Holly would produce an amicable agreement. I guess the question that I have is, we have insurance, we have an insurance carrier. We put the claim into their insurance company, they paid out. At that point, is it not the responsibility of the insurance company then to go after the other insurance company? Why would we make this a personal thing like a civil suit between us and the village?
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's a reason, there's a reason we pay.
They paid
Right.
it, if they don't like it, what is it, about $20,000, how much was it?
23, I think.
23, I'm not comfortable with it. So we had.
I couldn't understand why that's our responsibility.
It shouldn't be. If they want recovery from the loss, then they need to take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, am I correct in assuming no action taken, leave it up to the insurance company?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I just wasn't a fan of the politics of pitting one municipal against another, one group against another. It's an insurance issue, let them deal with it. Okay, we will move on to new business. Action needed on the purchase of a new special response unit. The SRU apparatus. Assistant Chief Lyle.
Good evening. So in your packet, there was 4 or 5 page document, much more than an executive overview. I apologize. But we talked at length over the last several months about replacing our special response unit. We've come up with a with what we believe is going to be a viable vehicle for us, a builder, a quote, and other quotes from other companies as well. And to kind of bring this all in a nutshell and brevity, we're looking for $300,000, not to exceed, so that we can move forward with this project using a vendor out of Grayling, Michigan, which is CSI. We deal with them currently for apparatus repairs and some other minor-ish issues that have popped up. They're a very reputable company, family-owned business, a Michigan-based company as well. And we would like to get moving forward with this project so that we can get this moving. It's a 24 or 365-day lead time. Our truck is not holding together well. We just had to put tires on it, and it seems ridiculous to do that, but it would not pass DOT inspection unless we spent a couple $1,000s on tires to keep it on the road. So if you want me to go into greater detail, I can, or
So just to clarify, because I don't see it in here, we're looking at buying a brand new vehicle, correct?
yes, sir. So this,
Because I see two references to 2015 and 19. And I just want to make sure we weren't looking at a used vehicle.
we are not. We're looking at a 2023 chassis. Once that chassis is received, we will make payment to CSI for it, the second quarter of next year. So we're outside of our $750,000 jackpot.
Right.
And then they will start building it from scratch, the rest of the vehicle, the box.
Okay,
So this will be brand spanking new. Yes, sir.
So are we, having to give ARPA funds at this point?
No.
No, this will come from, the down payment will come from that.
That'll be worked out, yes.
Yes.
that'll be part of the 200,000 we each gave.
That is part of the whole lump of the 600
Yes.
altogether.
Yes. So you need a motion to approve the ordering of the,
So what we need is a motion not to exceed $300,000 to contract with CSI of Greeley, Michigan to build for their specification of replacement SRD. Yes.
so moved.
Very good.
Is there support?
Well, let me support it so we can discuss it. I'll support it, so let's discuss it.
Okay, motion by Winchester, support by Gamka. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a brand new vehicle.
Yeah.
All new parts.
Correct.
They require $130,000 now and balance due with delivery.
They do not require that now. The $130,000 or the cost of the chassis, however that works out, the pricing is still a bit fluid. Ford, and this goes to the next presentation as well, Ford's pricing hasn't been 100% locked in yet. So once that price is decided by Ford, we will get the bill for it when it hits, the chassis hits Greeley. That's when we pay the down payment, if you will. We don't pay a penny until that chassis shows up, and then the balance will be due upon delivery of the truck to the department in its completed form.
And you anticipate delivery of the truck in 1 year.
A year, yes, sir.
When do you think the chassis will be done?
Well, I wish I could answer that. I'm shooting as well as the vendor and talking again to the next presentation as well. It looks like it's probably the second quarter of next year. So after
Oh,
our budget year.
yeah.
And in their agreement with us, it was specified that we would not make a payment until after July 1st, period, independent of that chassis delivery. So we are
Just for the record, second quarter is before our budget.
the end of the second quarter.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
So
July.
after July 1st.
I'll just say July 1st.
I know, but
Yeah.
the end of the quarter is still before July 1st.
We will not pay until after July 1st. I'll make that perfectly clear.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm not a budget guy. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm trying.
Are we
I
gonna
just
get some
wanted
sort of
to-
purchase order or something? Are you gonna get a purchase order that lays out the whole cost of it from these people?
Yes, sir.
No, one page purchase.
They will do, there will be a purchase order for the chassis, yes, and we will have that.
Okay, so your procurement process, and you buy the chassis, drivetrain, components, the wheels, and et cetera.
Okay.
From a vendor, and then you transfer that product to them for their care, custody, and control, and then they build your equipment on top of it. That's the procedure.
It's close. They purchased the chassis on our behalf,
Oh, okay.
okay? And the cost of the chassis is passed through. We will pay that up front. That's our down payment.
The manufacturer, the furnisher of this piece of equipment is procuring the chassis equipment in their name.
Yes.
And when the price comes in for that, then we pay the down payment.
Yes, sir.
Then they continue to assemble the special.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's pretty
So,
typical.
okay, there should be a one-page document that shows it. And, yeah. Cost of chassis and cost of.
Even if it's an estimate. It's
Yeah.
nice to-
Well, so I put all that together. It does exist. I mean, didn't put the packet together. So I do have a one pager with all of those estimates in it, as well as the other bids that we received for this truck with those prices as well.
No, we don't, you've already recommended we go with this one company.
Correct.
We need the other bid you got here.
Right.
So all we did is one purchase order. It listed the component, that's all.
To be clear, the bid process is handled through the state, so we don't have to get multiple bids. Am I correct?
Well, I think we're getting too many things commingled. A commercial chassis, okay, or a pickup truck, or a car, or something like that. If we wanted to buy a dump truck, okay, that same chassis that we're using for this vehicle is fixed with pricing by the state.
That's what I said.
Well, but there's more to the vehicle than a chassis.
I know.
Okay.
But we were talking about the base. You don't have to get bids for the chassis because it's a fixed price through the state. And it's done that way to eliminate having to get all the bids, correct?
It's supposed to be, yes.
But my concern, that final product is the responsibility of CSI, complete.
Correct.
They're taking all the components, putting it together,
Mhm.
and they got pure custom control,
Mhm.
and they are providing the product. So we don't want to have any spin-off that the chassis manufacturer is working away from the warranties. CSI is the one who's got to fill the warranties.
I'm not sure I understand your question. We're buying a Ford chassis. Ford will warranty the chassis.
Yeah, yeah. CSI is procuring a Ford chassis,
Yes,
and the agreement is we're gonna pay the amount of what that chassis costs when it's delivered to their fabrication facility.
correct.
But so it's part of the chassis is part of their whole component. So they're fabricating a complete box of assembly,
Yes.
and they're responsible for everything in it.
Okay.
Okay, well, I want to make sure that
Yeah,
the process is followed. Okay. But it should be delivered.
This point is we're not making two separate purchases. We're making one. They handle the whole thing.
Yes. And,
Right,
and,
yeah.
and as we've purchased vehicles in the past, some vendors have asked us to purchase and pay for the chassis up front, and they give us a significant, well, semi-significant discount for doing that. When we purchased the ambulances, we did not do that. It was just one payment at the end for the completed product. So again, this is not uncommon when purchasing, fire department
Well, the
apparatus.
ambulances were already made when we went to buy
They
them.
were, so there was no
They
like
had
pay on
overbuilt.
delivery. Correct, there's no pay the chassis on delivery, so.
Yeah.
But we've done that in the past with Spartan. We bought the chassis outright, paid whatever it was, and then it goes to the manufacturer and we make the next payment when it's completed.
So the final cost of the product that you're ordering from CSI and Grayling, just or Galen, wherever they're at,
Grayling.
how much money?
It'll be less than 300,000. Right now, we're at 200. We're $292,600.
Okay,
And then,
you got a quote from them that says that they'll do that,
yes,
okay?
and they have 80,000 in there for a chassis and a $10,000 contingency fund because the pricing is so fluid. So that's why I'm looking for not to exceed 300,000,
Oh,
just because of the fluidity of the chassis and commodity market at this point.
No contingencies, okay.
Yep, and there's a very good chance that $10,000 contingency for the chassis is not going to be needed. So therefore, the bid, the product would come in at 280.
Well, but somebody's gonna want, my point is, these other little nuances,
Mhm.
pluses or minuses, so who's monitoring that?
That is our responsibility.
Okay, yeah, okay. And the only other question is, where is the money's coming from? Are they in the equipment procurement, anticipated equipment procurement? This can be spread over 2 years.
Improvement.
Cap improvement.
Right, so this year we talked about ARPA funding. Rose Township provided 200, Holly Township provided 200, and the authority itself has 200 in its checking our bank account for that. So it's a lump of 600,000. And that's where these projects are coming out, is that lump of money.
Okay, so Okay, so you're gonna submit a request to Rose Township then for the release of that ARPA money, 200,000.
Those mechanics need to be worked out between authority and Rose Township, yes.
Yeah, I think you should submit a request
Mhm.
to the supervisor of Rose Township requesting the $200,000 for the procurement of this specific device. Is that what you intend to do?
I believe that's what the chief intends to do, yes.
Okay, I think that's the procedure that should be followed.
But it won't be until after the July 1st so that we don't spend the $750,000 of grant money in 1 year, so we don't have to have a single audit.
See, that's, well, it's only about this interesting money from the Fed.
Yeah, well, we don't want to have an audit any more than we have to.
So this money then,
Did you receive more than?
So we're
No.
So
we're putting it on order and then we'll wait to give the funding for it until after July 1st.
okay, so you're gonna request that Rose Township release the $200,000 for ARPA money in next fiscal year
Yes.
Yes.
to go to the proceeds for this specific device.
Yes.
Okay, and someone will prepare that and submit it to our township.
That's what I say,
Yes.
Mr. Noble, the mechanics of all of that have not been worked out. I know there have been conversations with the auditor for the department here and
Yeah.
conversations with the auditor of Post Township by the supervisor. And they are working through whatever this process has to be so that,
Yes.
it's on the up and up and things are the way they're supposed to be. Again, that's above my pay grade. I'm here to present the information and assure you that we're getting our money's worth. And
Yeah.
Well, okay. We'll have comments at our supervisor. Well, there should be a request.
I understand,
Fire
sir.
authority.
Yeah, there will be there'll be a
Glenn,
request.
there is a request. We've made the motion, we've passed the motion. Your board's approved it, so it will go through the process. They're just trying to keep the dates in line so that we don't
Understand.
fall into that.
I understand, but the nuances are, so Rose Township does not get trapped by this.
No, they
They don't
won't.
lose money, okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All right. We have a motion by
Karen.
Winchester. I was trying to, are we commissioners? What are we, trustees? What are we?
Board members.
I'm a citizen of Orange. I don't know what you guys are.
Okay, I'll just say Clerk Winchester, support by Treasurer Hampton. Go that way, we're good. And we'll bring the roll call.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, everybody gets so technical, I don't want to throw a word up and spend 20 minutes explaining it, so I'm trying to clarify.
Brad Stillwell,
Yes.
Karen Winchester, yes. Glenn Noble,
Yes,
Paul Gamka,
Yes.
George Cullis.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. On to B, action needed on a purchase of a new brush truck apparatus. Many of the questions that were discussed in this previous purchase pertain to this one as well. It's the same process. Assistant Chief Lyle, would you give us a quick overview of that?
Yes, sir. So what we're looking to do with this, and again, we've talked about this in the recent past, we have a 1986 Chevy 4x4 that we're trying to replace. It has outlived its useful life, and it is in desperate need of replacement. Now, what we're looking to do is go forward with the purchase of, on the state bid price as well, a Ford pickup truck so that we can build this into a brush unit. This is not something that you can typically go to, although there are some specialty manufacturers that will make this out of the gate for you. This will be a pickup truck that we put a pump in the back of it, plow on the front of it, so we have a multi-vocational vehicle. Can plow snow in the winter, brush fires in the summer, and it will replace, again, a current very old truck. And I think I even noted in here that it's older than most of the members on the department. So what we're looking for is action to approve that we use Signature Ford through my deal for a price not to exceed $60,000, and that is just for the pickup truck itself. As the rest of the equipment rolls through, we will need approvals for those as well. I did include in this proposal just a brief summary of what some of those expected costs are, just to outline the entire project so you know what's coming down the pipe when we get to those points. But again, this is a time-sensitive issue. They have open bid windows that are a couple of weeks, and if we don't have our purchase request or board action in to Signature Ford, there's a very good chance we're not going to get a bid. And even at this point, there's still a chance we may not get a vehicle depending on if Ford will accept or deny the order. So this seems to be a reoccurring theme across the state with municipal vehicles. It's unfortunate, but it's the state that we're in.
I would make a motion to approve the purchase of the 2023 Ford F-350 from Signature Ford using Michigan deal and FIN pricing not to exceed $60,000.
Is there support for the motion?
Yeah, I'll support it. You're getting the white one or the red one?
Red, sir.
You know, it's $9,000 more for what red?
It's not the white truck that was in the literature here is a 2022, so it's a previous model year. And that's the only reason it was thought is they had it on their lot. And he says, hey, if you want to save some money and you can use a white truck, I've got this. So
Why didn't we take it?
you would have to discuss that with the rest of the department as to why our brush truck was white. Our trucks are red for visibility and other reasons. And if we did get a white truck, and we went through this with an ambulance that's sitting out there, we had it wrapped. But
That's fine.
yeah, I mean, it turned into,
Mhm.
thank you. It turned into quite an issue.
Okay, so we have a motion by Clerk Winchester, support by Treasurer Gamka to purchase a new brush truck not to exceed $60,000. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, the notation in here, you expect to use ARPA funds.
Right.
ARPA funds are already been used up by the other truck.
No, sir.
No, yes, are you?
Oh, no.
Well,
There's 200,000 from Rose, 200,000.
I understand.
Well, that's 400,000.
Oh, okay.
So there's still room.
And plus we still have 200.
$200,000.
There's still plenty of money left.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Karen Winchester, yes. Paul Gamka,
Yes.
Brad Stillwell,
Yes.
Glenn Noble,
Yes,
George Cullis.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. C is the submittal of the fire chief's annual performance review. You have it in front of you here. Take it home, fill it out, and bring it back for the next meeting. Am I correct?
Mhm.
No action necessary. D has been eliminated. We will move on to reports, including the monthly incident data from September 22nd, which is in front of you.
Please go back to the chief's performance there. What's this about now?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know it's old
Well,
stuff. You
it's
will-
kind of self-explanatory. You just go through and it may be a little difficult for you because you haven't been here that long, but
Yeah, that's why I'm asking the question.
basically we're just, it's an evaluation for the chief.
Okay, and is there a table, a score table?
Yeah,
That's what
it
it
should
is in
be
the
on
back here.
there. Yes.
Okay,
And actually, he usually gives us, oh, he did, his score that so you'll see the chiefs. If you back up, you'll see, he'll score himself, whether he's mad or not mad. You see up here,
yeah,
and then you would score as well based on these things.
okay. So it's 1 through 10, is that what I'm saying? What's?
Those men are not, right?
Okay,
10, yes,
Yep,
10.
there are 10.
so it's a met or not met?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
What has changed from this one? How did we end up with a score of 11 a couple of times?
I don't remember being a score of 11.
Okay. Okay. So we can, all set?
Good, thank you.
Back to reports. The incident report is in front of you. 84 total runs, out of District 4 for 88. And again, Rose Township had 40 and Holly Township has 38. We're pretty close. It always amazes me how we're almost tied month after month after month.
You know, it was September.
Yeah, October was, Holly Township was a little higher.
Yeah,
But it's always bounced back and forth between the two towns.
It does.
But I think if you go back to August, Rose was a little higher than we were here. By the end of the year, it's always been.
It just-
Sequel, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
We also have the report from the Michigan Renaissance Festival.
Can we pause just for a second before we get to that?
Back to the,
Well, no, just on the run reports, before we get into the Renaissance Festival, I wanted to notify the board that, Saturday night, we had a significant house fire in Rose Township on typical Lake Road. It went to, a second alarm almost immediately, just because of the size of the house and the remoteness of it. We cleared there about midnight. We had mutual aid from all surrounding areas, as we usually do. And it was amazing that just the house was so far off the road. It was 800 feet, give or take, off the road. So we, have to lay hose all the way back in there to get the water, and it's uphill and around the corners. We had mutual aid from as far out as Independence Township with tankers, and Atlas Township.
we weren't able to get our equipment in there.
Our engine was able to get up the driveway with a hose. Also, I'm sorry, when we lay in, we leave one end of the hose at the road and drive the truck up the driveway and park it so that we have all of our tools, equipment, and ancillary firefighting stuff that we need. And then everybody has to, hike up the drive to get to where we need to work. But as usual, we don't have house fires when it's 70 degrees and the humidity is 50%. It's either 90 degrees or 20 degrees and snowing sideways. And of course, it was 20 and
Or
snowing
was
sideways.
this untypical? Was it north or south at the mode?
It was between Bone and Baker.
Okay.
So it was on the north end of the township there. But our crews did fantastic, as they always do. We are so integrated with our mutual aid partners that if you're an outsider looking in, we look and act and perform as one department. So, kudos to everybody that was out there. It was cold, wet, and frozen. Unfortunately, we did have to go back the next morning. There was a few hot spots that were buried. Everybody likes to build these big houses with the big windows that, cathedral ceilings and 14-foot vaulted. Yeah, and then they put shiplap on them and pull them full of blown-in insulation, and that stuff is just so hard for us to get to and get out. That typically about 7-8 hours later, there's a couple of hot spots that reveal themselves, and we go back out and deal with them. So,
Was this a total loss?
so it's difficult to say total loss. As the insurance company is concerned, probably. As the homeowners are concerned, no. There's still a lot of priority salvage that we pull out of the house, and get to them that night as much as we can and try to cover things up and preserve. Family pictures, heirlooms, memorabilia. Unfortunately, their pet did perish in the fire. There's nothing that could be done with that. They weren't at home at the time of the fire. But a lot of those types of things, we do everything that we can to try to get them out of the house covered and or saved. So at least you can still look at things, get them cleaned through the restoration company. The damage to the structure is somewhat significant. It may be able to be rebuilt. Just depends on, who the restoration company is and how they perceive it. And again, what the insurance company decides. They may say that, no, it's not a total loss, rebuild it, or they'll tell them to bulldoze it. So the contents to us are the most important.
And any idea how this would start was, or?
I can tell you that it's not anything that's suspicious. It's still being investigated. Typically, how the process works is we have a sworn deputy come out, he does the investigation, and he decides at that point if it's a criminal act or not. And if it's not, they stop, and a private investigator from the insurance company will come out and they will make their determination. So at this point, it's in the investigative process.
That family pet, was that your dog?
Yes. So again, fine job by our crews, and matter of fact, the village guys, that were on duty, they came to the station at midnight and they helped us pack hose and put things together, and I sent their chief a note of appreciation for that as well. It was nice. We weren't particularly blessed with people, being the deer hunting holiday weekend and pre-Thanksgiving holiday. So
Yeah.
we were a bit strapped, but it was nice to have them here. So,
All right, so the public needs to know the plans and fires that work in the time.
understood,
Yeah.
yes, please. If we can get that message out,
Yeah.
yes, that would be wonderful.
Not cold.
Right. So 70 and 50% humidity is perfect.
Yes.
No, it's really, but, with the Renaissance Festival, that has been wrapped up. As far as participation in this year's event, the event closed. We've sent our billing out. I don't believe we've been reimbursed yet for all of the costs that we incur for the fire watch and the inspections. Typically, that takes a couple weeks or a month or two to get back to us, but it has been invoiced. We as a department put, not just during the festival time itself, but as a department, we put a lot of time into that activity with the Renaissance Fair. I think I calculated 320 hours or 360 hours actually, just in the fire watch aspect of it during the run of the festival.
And how much do you bill them?
So we bill, Chief has a contract for the fire watch, and then for each permit to operate a booth, there's a fee for that. The Renaissance Fair, they have a list of their vendors. It's included in their price. Basically, I take 160 vendors, multiply by 50. That's the price of their operating permit. And then as far as the fire watch goes, that's actual costs. But to answer your question fully, it was just over $21,000 that we billed them for this year for the service, which was up a little bit from last year. It was 18,000 last year, or give or take 18 or 19,000. So we do try to make it a cost neutral activity. That way it's not Holly Township and Rose Township bearing the cost of that need. It is the customer that is supporting it.
Right.
And
I wanted a number because I didn't know. It helps the board put it in perspective.
absolutely, no, I agree. I agree. And I listed in the report all the members of the department that participated in it. Again, these guys are given a weekend or definitely a full Saturday or a full Sunday up to do this. They're being compensated, but it's a long day. You were out and you walked the morning.
Yes, I think.
In your report, are there any recommendations for next year?
There are. Those still need to be gone over with the chief to bring them to bear if that's what, but these are my recommendations as, boots on the ground out there, that we increase some inspection fees so that overtime can be compensated. I did not receive any compensation for overtime, and I was working overtime. And I would like to add another person on fire watch out there as well, because it just gets to be very overwhelming in the afternoons. Not so much with fire watch activity, but just the activity in general of the festival picks up, medicals pick up, everybody's busy running here and there trying to take care of issues that pop up. We just need a second person out there to provide more support for everything.
Holly Township charges 100 inspection. Just so you know,
Okay.
that would be a consideration.
Yeah, and that's why I thought $75 was probably a good number to start with. Again, we need to, I don't want to lock us into these recommendations, but this is conversation that needs to occur before the contract and the fees start being charged for next year. Absolutely.
Well, I would think that that would come to the board as a recommendation from the chief.
I think that just goes by our,
Fee schedule?
yes,
Yes.
so we may have to make a change to
Yes.
that.
Which
Would come to
may
you.
come from the board.
Correct. I had to think that through for a second.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes, sir, that's it on the Renaissance Festival. Again, another fantastic job of our folks and dedication that they put in for that.
Okay,
Yes.
firefighters association? No comments tonight? Holly Township, we are starting the process of moving the earthworm from the Oakland County park property on Scott Lake Road and Watkins Lake Road. They are starting to dismantle it. And in the next week or so, you'll start to see them over at the farmstead, putting in a foundation and resurrecting that 1850s bond that will come to that property. That process is underway. We currently do not have a treasurer or a deputy treasurer, so we're working out. We just appointed a new treasurer as of Saturday, but she is currently on maternity leave until January 1st. So we're in the process of making some moves to help cover the bases. It covers everything for us. Yep. Rose Township,
I have no comment.
You?
Nothing.
nothing to report. And the citizen at large.
No report this time.
Okay, we will go to our last public comment. Randy? Because you said not the first one.
Oh.
So I mean, we're waiting for the second.
Yeah. Think Randy Conviner, Alien Way, Holly Township. An observation that it's kind of not directed at Mr. Gamka, but he had made previous statements in other meetings that he was going to leave the fire board. And he served us well, which he did. Created an opening that was not fillable in Rose Township, so he got reinstated to the fire board. And he came back on, and one of the statements was he was here to help facilitate the union contract with Norfolk Fire. And if I remember correctly, the statement was, once that has been facilitated and in place and functional, he was gonna then leave the board. I'm just wondering if that is still the intention.
You want me to leave?
I'm not asking you to leave. I don't want to.
It hasn't been decided, the
I'm
board.
just saying, the statements were made in public meetings and noted, and you did it twice.
Yes, and that was my intention, and people at Rose Township have asked me to stay on for a while.
Okay.
And I'm just going ahead and obliging the,
Was that a conversation in a meeting or behind the scenes?
I don't think it was at a meeting.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it's good that, you're gonna stay and Rose Township has representation, but if it's out, because you did make the statements in public meetings on record, maybe you should. And I'm just putting this out, you don't even have to act on it, just say, they decided to keep it, you decided to stay, and from this point forward.
I will say that I'm here to serve Rose Township and, everything I do, my office. And I'm here, and the various boards I'm on is because the people, the boards indirectly or publicly or have either voted me on or I was asked to stay on. I mean, they want me to leave, I'd be happy to do what I think is, whatever is best for Rose Township is what I do.
That's what you should do, and if they are happy with your placement there, and the board certainly needs a full membership from each township, so thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to add Mr. Finkram to the parties.
Well, we typically don't.
I'm a little confused by this whole complex.
We typically don't engage in comment during.
I understand, but he has questioned my partner here on something, but I think I need a further explanation.
I was gonna say, you can, once we're done with public comment, you can do that before we adjourn.
Fine, thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comment?
Yes. Mr. Logan Campbell, come up to the podium, please.
Did you burn the dinner?
So I would like to introduce firefighter paramedic Logan Campbell. He just received his medic license. He's been with us since high school. So he's our newest,
Say that name slower.
Logan Campbell.
Logan.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Excellent.
Campbell, yes.
How's the full-time?
Welcome aboard.
Have those positions been filled? Just one, as far as I know, has been, correct? There has been two then?
Well, so
How you opened it up?
conditionals probably, thank you, Lieutenant Miller. There's been conditional offers put out to a couple of folks. They have till, help me here, December 31st or January 1st, whichever.
31st is the plan.
To complete a couple of tasks that still need to be done. And then that conditional offer will be formalized.
Yeah.
So they have to take a.
I was just curious. I knew we were gonna hire two and
Yes, we are moving forward as fast as obviously we can.
I know we were waiting till the union stuff was done, so.
Yeah, no, that is done. And like I say, there's conditional offers out. I'm not sure if we're supposed to disclose who it is in a public meeting. I don't know. That wasn't
That's
part of
fine.
Well, I wasn't part of the
So you
process.
have two of them, two people then.
Correct. And they have to do their physical ability test. And once they're done with that and pass, then those offers will be solidified and I'm sure
Very good.
things will move forward.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Anyone else for public comment? All right, that being said, before we adjourn, are there any further comments, Mr. Noble?
Yes, thank you. I'm trying to see all the players in this North Oakland County Fire Authority. Mr. Schwenkbeiner, you're a full-time firefighter, right?
That is not correct.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you. Then there's this North Oakland County Firefighters Association. Is correct?
That is correct.
And then there's also the union.
That is also correct.
Okay, and the unions are members of the North Oakland County Fire Association?
They can be if they choose to be.
Okay, so it was really two organizations there that are different loggerheads.
Well, the fire,
Then
Firefighters
there's also this other PAC, North Oakland County Fire Association PAC. That's out there on Facebook.
is that,
Know nothing about that.
Well, okay, it's been out there, so. Okay, so the North Oakland County Firefighters Association are generally part-time people.
That is not correct.
Okay, so it's a mixture of both.
The North Oakland County Firefighters Association is members of good standing of the North Oakland County Fire Department of the Fire Authority. You can choose to become a member of this or not choose to become a member.
is that association a charitable group?
Yes,
It's a nonprofit.
it's a nonprofit charitable group.
Well, okay,
And
well, I'm not.
we work within the guidelines of this fire department, and we do public events. We raise money. We have a couple of food drives coming up here in December,
Okay.
which, we support local businesses and everything. It is not governed by, nor is it controlled by anything with the fire department itself. Am I correct?
Correct. The chief
Well,
nor I have oversight over.
it's not supposed to be, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, let's get that.
It's a self-governing group.
It's a
It's
nonprofit.
a benevolent,
Nonprofit.
it's a benevolent group.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And so are all the union members, the union full-time employees are union members,
Yes, sir.
except the chief?
Although,
Yes.
that's correct.
Okay, so then are the union members all belong to the association too? Then?
I do not know if they all belong, but they do have the option to belong.
I understand, but they probably, what I have heard, they all do. They all appear to be.
That could be accurate, but I can't state that as fact.
Yeah, well, okay. You might want to look at that. It certainly appears that way.
Okay.
So it certainly appears that there's two are together. But that's all right. I just wanted to have that public conversation with you.
If they are,
You're representing the association.
He's not.
Okay, well, thank you for your
No,
time.
no, he don't represent either, he
I
was.
didn't represent either one. I was up here as a private citizen. when I made.
Well, okay.
When I,
Yeah,
wait a minute,
wait a second.
I'm sorry, I might have confused you.
You have the uniform on.
Correct, and maybe I
All
should have
right, I
stated.
have no problem with everyone. I want to get a clarification on some outsider observations. Never being exposed to the fire organizations, although several of my compatriots in the municipal business have advised me of this kind of scenario. So I just want to get a clarification, but I thank you for your time. And thank you, Chairman.
I did want to clarify one thing for you. When we went through reports, I asked for the firefighters association and they said there was no report for tonight.
Correct.
So when he spoke, he was for a public
Yeah,
comment.
let me explain my uniform. I was on shift today. I worked at Rose Township Station for my 12-hour shift. I got off at about 5 minutes after 6, went home, grabbed a little bit to eat, and I appeared here for the meeting. Otherwise, I would have changed into my civilian clothes, if you will.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, John.
Any other comments? Mr. Gampton? Still,
I'm good.
I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to an end at 7:52.